and welcome to So Farscape,
a fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan
and a fresh-faced first-timer.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay, and this is the story So Farscape.
Here we are at the conclusion of Season 1, Episode 122 already. Can you imagine?
It's been an amazing journey.
So, let's hear it. What's the story So Farscape?
The story So Farscape is American astronaut John Crichton, who is dropped through a wormhole to a strange place at far-off distance, where he's met with the crew of Moya, a sentient biomechanical starship, crewed by its former prisoners, the mysterious and illustrious Zahn, the warlike Dargo, also known as Tentacles, Dominar Rigel XIII, the little miscreant of the group, of course, the courageous Lieutenant Aaron Sung, the Sebastian peacekeeper, who was previously in the command of the insane
military commander.
Commander, yes.
Whoa, look at you go, Kay.
Commander Crace, or was he Captain? Commander? I always forget what his rank was. Captain Crace, yes. And later on joined by the kittenish Chiana, I suppose, is the best way to describe her. And, of course, Moya being crewed by the lovely, sweet pilot, who is, like, gorgeously great.
10 out of 10. Like, it was absolutely sublime. Totally flawless.
Thank you.
No, I'm genuinely proud of you.
So I'm going to have to address something little here.
Oh, dear.
I think I just proved that I'm allowed to drop the fresh-faced part of the introduction in our...
Oh, that is true. We're going to have to find you a new alliteration.
I think we do have to do that, because...
Okay, so I mean, you don't have freckles, so it's got to be an F word. There's some F words that I want to avoid.
I'm sure we'll think about it and talk about it. But I think I've earned the right to drop fresh-faced from my moniker here.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Hey, maybe we'll all just change our monikers next time around.
Maybe we can get a little input from our listeners.
That seems like a double-edged... On the one hand, I really appreciate our listeners. On the other hand, I don't really want them naming us.
Fair point.
Well, we
can listen to their suggestions and take them into consideration and then decide on something ourselves.
That seems like the safest way. Gosh, if only we had someone we trusted as much as Pilot and Moya trust Aaron to name us. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
Prepare to starburst!
In last week's episode, the second half of the second parter...
Oh, okay. So you've clearly forgotten last week's episode, which was A Bone to be Wild.
Oh, yes, of course.
But no, that's fine, because this is often described as like a four-parter in 3 parts.
I'm feeling a bit of a Hitchhiker's Guide vibe here going, yes.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong, because there was the greatest hiatus, which happened just after episode 18, and then it came in with 4 episodes at the end of season 1, which were developed sort of together, but episodes 1 and 2, Nerve Part 1, Hidden Memory Part 2, that was the first 2-parter we've seen. And then Bone to be Wild, which I think we wind up calling Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes, I should have remembered that, because it's actually mentioned at the beginning of this episode, at the Bernie's star charts.
Crace mentions to Scorpius the alien girl you adopted, and Scorpius asks, oh, yes.
Have you found my security officer assigned to watch her?
Hang on, alien girl he adopted, who was that? I mean, I wrote
that was
that
Emily. You saw him at the end of the last episode
of course, yes.
We must give of ourselves.
Because she doesn't make any appearance at all in this episode, so it's a little bit weird. I mean, I hope she's on the command carrier, but...
It's interesting that it sort of slipped your mind, because I sort of felt the same way for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the energy and the tempo and the pace set by the 2-parter was then just dropped for this Monster of the Week episode.
Close Encounters my ass.
Yeah, this seems like much more of a continuation of the 2-parter, and then that other episode was kind of I won't say shoehorned in, but it was much more a return to the usual this problem of the week. Yeah, Monster of the Week.
Having come back to it as a fervent fan, I really enjoyed that. I really savored. Okay, we're going to get one more episodic episode before we get to the rest of the stuff. And it's really weird, because it's so frustrating when you're watching it for the first time, because you want more
get on with it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's kind of for a end of season episode, this one feels very good.
Right.
And I guess the other one, I mean, they could have easily put that episode in. No, they couldn't have had. Not if Emily is going to be a thing again. And they had to have Scorpius in there as well to use the whole... so in order to use that plot line properly, it had to be in the position where it is.
I don't think that it was originally written... I believe that Bone to be Wild was conceived to happen earlier in the season, where it was one of the ideas that they had for an episodic, and then they figured out that episode 21 is the right spot lot for it for some reason.
So, episode 22 is
Yes.
called Family Ties, where an unexpected betrayal has the victim scrambling for a plan of escape while a custody battle forges unlikely friendships.
And thanks again to Bostich. Was it the solo Bostich
I think so,
job
yes,
this time?
yeah.
Thank you for that synopsis. It is not easy to synopsize the finale episode without giving anything away. So good job there. And with this season finale, Tony Tilse is back as a director. We're settling into a stable of regulars when it comes to directors and writers. David Kemper, DK, he named a character after himself, and the show creator Rockne S. O'Bannon. We have Ricky Manning. Oh, yeah, I completely forgot to mention that. Ricky Manning, the writer of
Name sounds familiar.
Nerve. Oh, he's written quite a few. I don't have my little database handy here, so I'm not going to embarrass myself and try.
You could never embarrass me.
But he goes by the handle at Frunium on Twitter these days.
Frunium.
Yeah,
Yes.
which, I thrilled when I heard that in episode 19, Nerve, when Chiana was doing her sort of tech talk bullshit against the unlucky fried Sebation that she wound up.
There's a faulty component in the Frunium drive causing instabilities in the stabilizer.
Yes, everything's all right here. There was just a weapons malfunction. Everything all right with you guys? Yes.
Boring channel anyway. Yeah, so Tony Tilse, we first saw him in directing PK Tech Girl, then he came back with Till the Blood Runs Clear, Durka Returns, A Bug's Life. These are...
It's got a few strong episodes there.
Kick-ass action episodes, and then this one, I remembered it as an incredibly invigorating, exciting episode, but it's actually, it's a really talky one.
Yes, it's quite down-tempo almost,
Yeah.
I would say.
There's so many scenes of people relating to each other, resolving relationships, just expressing themselves and reflecting on what they've experienced so far. So I think we should really affirm the Treaty of. We called it the Treaty of Moya. I kind of want to expand it a bit more, the Treaty of Mintaka 3.
Mintaka 3.
Okay, so
what happened on Mintaka 3 again?
Nothing especially. It was mentioned in passing at one point, but it's also a planet from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I was going to say, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know, but Mintaka 3 sounds boring to me anyway.
So that overlap should give us extra protection from pedantry about getting it wrong. So here,
yes. The Treaty of Mintaka 3. There we go. It's signed, sealed, and delivered.
If we get anything wrong in different orders or whatever, we're just going to go ahead. But gosh, it starts off with something. Did you see it coming?
Oh, you have got to be kidding.
What, the opening of this? The opening scene?
Yeah. Everybody's running through the hallways.
Tell me there is some kind of sick punchline coming.
They're reeling from a surprise. They're yelling that, we should not have been surprised.
Let's be anything but surprised.
It kind of makes sense that, the peacekeepers were coming, so...
Unfortunately, John, it's true.
Great. Absolutely great.
Oh, you mean the fact that Rigel's gone off and... yes, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were
that's
talking
what
about
they're...
the approaching carrier. Should have seen it coming, shoulda, coulda, woulda, I don't know,
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Rigel's always been a bit of a selfish little bastard, but this is really taking the cake.
Yes. This is who he is. This is who he's been communicated from the start, and we've sort of been numbed to his selfishness.
It's always been petty and not really malicious, which is what it's clearly turned into here. Because Rigel has commandeered one of the transports from Moya and is now...
This is the very first time that we've seen him piloting any craft other than his drone sled.
True. I guess some of it translates, or at least he's picked up something along the way.
A skill he's probably hidden all this time, so he never had to do any work.
That seems like Rigel.
I used to have 70,000 servants.
And he is making his way towards the command carrier. People are pleading with him to stop, at least slow down, we can talk about this. Pilot is being almost reverent, Your Highness and Your Majesty, this and that.
Yeah, Pilot's always been good about using everybody's titles.
True, but mostly so when you want something from them.
Just always. And he usually wants, don't do that, put that down.
True.
Dargo's on the bridge. He speaks very calmly and he asks, listen to me very carefully. And then he yells something in Luxon. Okay, so he yells something in Luxon that Crichton doesn't understand. We don't understand. We hear it in Luxon. But apparently Chiana does.
Something about his corpse and bodily function.
Maybe she speaks Luxon. On the other hand, why don't the translator microbes translate this?
That's it.
I've noticed this coming up several points during the episode.
Very
Where
good.
things are being said in native languages and translator microbes are not doing their job.
Hey, we get to use the Treaty of Mintaka 3 immediately because I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Krace uttering the phrase Kal Tenaga Chivoko.
Right. But also Zahn, when she is delivering her prayer.
Yes, her benediction.
Same thing. It's in her native language, no translator microbe. So that's a bit weird. I mean, I wonder why they chose to do that. I mean, it makes it sound a little bit more alien and odd, but it kind of goes against the lore, I suppose.
Yeah. We didn't even remark on that in episode 12, Rhapsody in Blue, where you have all the Delvian prayers. Like, maybe these are just unpronounceable. Actually, there's a point coming up where Crichton and Dargo and Aaron are walking down the hallway, and Crichton is saying, I'll tell you this for free.
I will not be taken alive.
Yes.
And Aaron gets the inference, and so does Dargo.
I know of the concept, but there is no Luxon word for it.
Suicide?
I am not talking about suicide.
Apparently, he understands what suicide is, but he understands also that there's no word for it. So what did he hear through his little Babel box that allowed him to understand the concept without having a word?
I mean, Dargo has expressed similar sentiments in the past, where he's been said, like, he didn't say I won't be taken alive, but he said I won't be taken prisoner again, which kind of amounts to the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting little thing there.
But we're barely a minute into the show, and we're already so deep into the technology and the philosophy.
And there's an interesting comment here. Apparently they can't leave.
Yeah.
Because Boya can't starburst yet.
Oh, God, you're still calling him Boya.
Of course I'm still calling him Boya.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Moya's offspring, yes.
And I'm sitting there like, why can't he just follow her through Starburst? And like, apparently later on in the episode, that's exactly what they suggest. So I'm just like, cut your losses at this point. Do it. Get rid of him. Make a run for it. Blah. But you know,
you need a little bit of run up for like they're still operating on the low energy state, so they're just hiding among the pieces of wreckage.
But Rigel is making the perfect decoy for them. He's going to keep the peacekeepers busy with his approach, and this seems like the perfect point. I mean, Rigel has obviously shown that he is like, He's shown his colors, he's turned his coat, and he's...
Very good.
And he is making a run for it. And you'd like, make sense to just like make use of that and just like, okay, we're going to make a run for it, get out of the asteroid field, starburst, have Boya follow through, and everybody gets clear. But I guess that wouldn't make such an interesting, exciting episode.
Yeah, because it's flying the Dominar of action, as he calls himself.
Rigel, kill your engines, float dead. Maybe they won't spot you. Let's talk about this.
And isn't that the whole point, Crichton? That's all your people ever do is talk. I am a Dominar of action.
Rigel is easily let aboard the command carrier and immediately shown into the throne room, or at least Krace's quarters, which does have a little bit of throne roomy vibes to it.
It's the tall walls, it's the red drapes, it's massive. We finally get to see the collection that Scorpius has referred to several times.
The decaying artifacts or the decaying trophies, as he calls them.
All Hynerian heads.
Yes.
All of them.
Apparently he likes to collect them. Maybe they have a competition. It's like, how many Hynerian heads can you collect? So maybe they play bowls with it on the weekend.
Oh, I wonder if these are old used up skins for Rigel's puppet.
Oh, probably. That seems to make sense.
Yeah, because
they don't look too good no more, but you know,
exactly.
They'll be
They've all stretched out and sagged. Yeah. And okay. There's a tear in the foam latex here.
Dan, yeah, that makes for a very good point. Yeah, or maybe just like failed pre-production models or something.
Oh, they're just sagged in the oven. Yeah. Not sagging is Scorpius, who is here. I noticed that like he's assumed command of Krace's command carrier, but he's still including Krace.
Right.
He's just occupying his room.
Yes.
Even to the point where the lieutenant, as yet unnamed, walks in and addresses them both as sirs.
Scorpius is actually looking a little bit perkier in this episode. I mean, he's still got the bags around his eyes and everything like that, but he seems less sleazy, creepy, and more confident, commanding.
I noticed that as well. There's something about the tone of his voice. He's a bit more chipper. He's the
And Krace is becoming like his hair is unfrayed at both sides of his face now.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
he's
not yet unshaven. That happens later on in the episode, but
he's almost got bangs at this point. Those are desperate times.
Sirs, this Hynerian royal was alone aboard the Leviathan transport.
Rigel proclaiming the fact that he is here to negotiate.
Yeah,
he wants his freedom.
He's got a good
and
list.
He's going to deliver Moya and Boya to and the prisoners
Moya and the offspring and the traitor Aaron's son, and especially
you want the one called Crichton. Well, I want my freedom. Interested?
Scorpius seems to be very interested.
We go to the credits. I sort of shame myself because I haven't noticed when the credits changed to include Gigi Edgley.
Oh, presumably around the time that she started becoming a regular?
Yeah, I just didn't notice. I'm so sorry. This is the kind of thing that I know that you rely on me for, to just interrupt you with savage geekery.
I mean, like I said, I would just assume it to be around that time. I don't noticing myself, but I did notice that she's been in the credits for a while now.
I mean, it really, like, the credits really stood out to me because Crichton is still wearing like his white shirt and his NASA outfit
credits,
and his innocent smile in the credits, which we haven't seen him wear in a while.
No, he's still wearing the Peacekeeper uniform in this episode, which does look very good on him. So
okay, so just a little bit of neckbeardy like continuity nitpicking. I think I and a lot of people have observed that he seems to be wearing Larac's uniform.
Yeah,
Larac was on the Marauder that exploded.
Yes.
So it can't be his clothes because he was wearing them when he died. So it would have to be like either Lieutenant Thorne or Lieutenant Baldrick.
He was already wearing
He was wearing
armor.
a captain's uniform that he had on, that was much brighter red, almost crimson.
Maybe they fudged the insignia a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, gorgeous shot of Moya and her son in the asteroid field. No,
You're refusing Boya?
I'm not refusing it. I'm just trying to navigate around it. It just seems, especially because it's Erin who's been asked to name Moya's child, which comes up a few times, and she takes her time before she takes it very seriously.
It's an honourable duty that she performs admirably, I would say.
Our heroes discuss what they're going to do. They refuse to be taken captive. They're discussing their various plans for escaping the predicament that they find themselves in. A few good pot shots at Rigel. Erin's remark, we should not be surprised.
Our weakest link is often the smallest.
Crichton is not taking it well.
No.
He is,
He's not going back to that chair.
Yes, he is very emotional about it. Yeah, to the point that we have this discussion here where they talk about... not suicide as such, I mean, but suicide run, which I thought was a little bit weird about that exchange between Dargo and Crichton. It's like the whole thing about suicide, because like, the way he makes it sound is like, I'd rather kill myself than be captured. When in fact what they're planning is a suicide mission, which seems to be more Dargo's kind of way. Which he's like gone on those before.
Die in the saddle.
But Dargo is very supportive of Crichton, and
Crichton's half-baked plan to fly a transport into the bridge of the command carrier, and then Erin says, well, that won't disrupt their operations.
No, but what if you load it with explosives?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We have... Rigel is eating.
That's your third helping.
To fill his third stomach. And the good thing is that by the time the third stomach is full, the first one will be empty again, and he can like keep eating.
Crace is exasperated by all this, but it's Scorpius who takes the lead. And do you notice how? Okay, in the interchanges between Scorpius and Rigel, once again, fantastic puppeteering. You just forget that he's a Muppet because Scorpius is looking at him with such intensity, and the camera just gets closer and closer and closer on Scorpius's eyes until he does that same sort of insight that we've seen him show when he unmasks Crichton.
When he's talking about when Rigel is lying and when he's not lying.
Because Rigel says exactly what he said when he came in. I want to exchange my freedom for my friends. And he said he was asking for extra conditions, like he would need a ship and a crew and some soldiers to
and some
retake
money
his throne.
And get some be able to and maps to his home world.
You're lying.
All right, I could forgo the cash.
You're lying about why you're here.
No, I'm not.
You're wasting our time.
Because, that's not what's motivating him. He's not motivated by the idea of retaking his throne. He just wants to live.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back, I guess, into the theory that Scorpius has a slight different visual thing going on, and he might be able to sense things that other people aren't. And that actually brings me to, I think it happens a little bit later on in the episode, when I think it is Crace who refers to Scorpius as a Saran half-breed.
You caught that.
Yes.
Very good. Yes, a Scaran half-breed is what he calls him. Yeah.
So, yes, we learn a little bit more about
just little drips and drabs.
Scorpius's background, but as in the good tradition of, I mean, Tolkien was very good at that. Whenever you explain something, you leave open more questions.
Yes. It's so enticing, isn't it?
It's always, you always hint at there being more and bigger things, and that keeps it exciting if you do it right. And otherwise, you turn into Mr. R.R. Martin,
George R.R. Martin. Yes.
And then it goes wrong.
So this is really like evocative, because Aaron has told before about how militant the peacekeepers are about keeping the bloodlines pure, and that hybrids such as Jothi, Khal Dargo's son with the observation woman, are considered abominations.
But apparently for Scorpius they make an exception.
Yeah, what's that about?
We've never seen a Scarron, have we?
Nope, unknown to us.
No, all right. So I was just wondering if we'd ever came across one of them and not came up with a name or anything like that. But I guess we'll find out about that later, because it seems to be like a character who is here to stay.
The episode is so dense. Like, I cannot blame you for thinking that maybe, did I miss something earlier on? Because there is so much. Okay, we're going into a whole sequence of scenes with two people resolving or laying the groundwork for really important relationship beats. We start with Chiana and Dargo. Chiana is sort of chiding Dargo for going on this suicide mission.
She's also a little bit petulant about it. Yeah.
Chiana seems to have, she has bonded with everyone far quicker than they bonded with each other. She has just embraced them. I mean, also, she's the youngest there.
True.
So, time is kind of a lot more meaningful to her, to a young person than an older person.
Canonically, she's like a teenager, isn't she?
Yeah, well, whatever that means in space.
Right, yeah, but she was left home to explore things and experience things that she wasn't allowed to do at home.
Yeah,
so that sounds like a very teenager thing. Talking to Dargo about him going on this suicide mission as well. I mean, everybody seems to be very much bent on getting as many of their crewmates out alive, even if they're the ones who have to make the sacrifice.
Yep.
Even to the point where they end up drawing lots about it. And later on, I keep saying later on in the episode, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, because they're all busy prepping this transport pod to function as a bomb, which requires a lot of chronite shavings from the floor, a catalyst that Zan is working on, and while they're doing it, they are making some time to talk to each other. Dargo tells Chiana that he's fond of her, that he's grown used to her. She's a pain in the ema, but
when he's grown to like, it's like, okay, hello.
You are a real pain in the ema, but one I have grown to enjoy.
Zan and John making similar remarks.
Yeah, Zan is like, girl, have you not heard of a fume hood? I'm just like, you are always working with with your chemistry kit.
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
Get some suction in there. There's
she's got her gown on. She just likes the fumes. She's just getting high on her own supply.
I guess she maybe being plant-based, it's not as much of a problem for her as it would be for someone with regular lungs. But damn, it's this stuff is you're making an explosive. Most explosives are not very good for you if you
she says
inhale
this
the
part
fumes.
that I'm working on is totally fine until you add this catalyst, and then
it's even worse. It's she says that until you add this catalyst, and then it becomes unstable, and it requires an energetic response. And he goes maybe it's getting shot or something, and yes, it is. And then suddenly it blows up all of it on its own regard. So it's it turns out it might be not quite as stable as she thinks it is.
Exactly how volatile is this Lutral?
Not at all. But once it's injected into containers filled with chronite, shavings from the floor of Moya's cargo hold, the mix becomes highly explosive.
Yep.
Also, deck shavings of the transport deck in Moya, it seems a bit dangerous to have a deck that, if you have the wrong kind of chemical spill on, turns into a bloody explosive. But it seems, just my 2 cents here.
I'm gonna assume that's just it's solubility. As long as it's a solid slab,
I guess it has to be shavings that you need enough contact to get. Even then, it's still a hazmat accident waiting to happen.
Hey, maybe that's one of the forbidden cargoes.
Oh, that could be right. Yeah, that seems to be right. They do have the forbidden cargoes. I don't recall what exactly they were, but it was 5 of them or something.
It is one of the 6 forbidden cargoes.
Yeah, one of them was chlorium, which was basically salt.
But it's only onlux, just onlux.
It was edible, but that was the anesthetic. We don't know the other ones.
No, so it could be one. We have a scene between Aaron and Pilot, which is lovely and touching.
She's sitting on his console.
Yes.
I love it when people sit with Pilot.
I also noticed that Pilot had a bunch of DRDs with him there. It's you kind of have them gathered around and all cozied up to him on his consoles and different keeping him company in his big cavernous lair, which we're back to. This is the first time in a long time we've seen another wide-angle shot of the pilot's lair, den, whatever you want to call it. Den,
it's cozy.
She's touching Pilot, and she's being all affectionate with him and telling about all the things they've shared, not in the least part some of their DNA.
Yeah.
You and I, we've shared quite a lot in the time we've been together.
DNA for one. Helped me learn some rudimentary science.
You've kept me alive when no one else could.
They're sharing a little chuckle and a laugh, but she's also really relating to him and the fear that he must be experiencing, not only his own, but also Moya's. And not only Moya's fear for herself, but also for her child. He does ask her again if she's given more thought to a name.
Yep.
And this is the first time that we see Erin cry.
Oh, is it?
I don't think we've ever seen her shed a tear before. And she is overcome with this honor that's been shown, and tells him that she will give Moya's son a strong name that he can wear proudly and in freedom.
Yes, so she refuses to say it right now because she wants to make sure that they're free first. At least that's how I interpreted that. The way she said that. I'm not giving it to you yet because I want it to be named in freedom. At least that's how I. That's the impression I got from that.
That's
scene
a
at the
really
time.
good thought. No, that's great.
She doesn't want her son named by the peacekeepers.
Please tell Moya that it remains my honor to name her son. It will be a good, strong name that he will bear proudly. In freedom. If I have anything to say about it.
I will tell her.
Crichton, meanwhile, is trying to record his last message to his dad and kind of gives up halfway through after he's telling him, like, oh, it's gone wrong.
It's going to be another depressing message. Why can't I leave him a happy, good news or at least good luck message for this? Well, Erin shows up and they have a little talk about Erin's family.
Something that we haven't talked about before, but she tells John...
You're lucky, you know. When I was very young one night, a soldier appeared over my bunk. Battle-hardened, scarred.
And John goes, cool. Your dad.
No, my mom.
My mother.
And John has this little smirk. Oh, God. I'm going to have a really hard time editing this episode together without basically pasting in the entire episode of Farscape because all the dialogue is so good.
Everybody's having a rather fatalistic approach all around. Everybody...
Nobody expects
well, with the exception of Chiana. Chiana's being defiant and strong, I suppose, and Zhaan is just being Zhaan. But everybody else, especially Erin, Dargo, and Crichton, are all super fatalistic and super... not suicidal, but,
Well, no, I get what you mean.
Resigned, I suppose, to their impending fate.
I mean, that was the conversation between Chiana and Dargo. Dargo was encouraging her to take these cuffs and pretend to be our prisoner.
Yes.
Because she's the only one who isn't wanted already. And Chiana says, well, they've seen me at the Gamak base. They know who I am. And he says, well, then... say that you did it under duress is the only way that you'll be safe if you get caught.
And she's not having any of it. Part of the crew, part of the ship. No, wait, that's the wrong movie again.
But it's kind of apt. I mean, she's really embraced her role here.
I will not. You can't make me.
Listen, Chiana, it is the only way.
What do you care? You'll all be dead.
There is a sort of clear division between the people who are pretty sure they're going to make the sacrifice and people who are pretty sure they're not. People who are there to be saved. Zhaan does not offer to make the sacrifice, Chiana, and certainly not Rigel, who is having a bath.
Yep, and I've noticed quite slow in noticing the heads of the other Hynerians placed upon the roof. You'd have thought that he'd seen those coming into the bathtub and not just when he comes out of this foaming bath of not foaming, sorry, it's
all okay.
Mist.
It's what is it, cold ice? No, dry ice.
That's what I was thinking. Those puppeteers must have had a hard time because dry ice is carbon dioxide and mixed with, if you put carbon dioxide in hot water, then you get this beautiful dense layer of mist. But that must have been pretty tough for the puppeteers to sit in and breathe.
Hey, a lot easier than actually being underwater, which was the original plan. Can you imagine being the creature department and you read the script, Rigel is having a bath. Okay, so we need Scooby gear. We need.
Okay, fair enough. But it's still, it must have been tough on them. Like, I mean, it's not easy to breathe dry ice smoke.
No, it is in fact quite difficult. I mean, as is shown shortly after when Crais walks in and has a bit of an intimidating conversation with Rygel.
Yeah, he doesn't believe Rygel is on the ball for his betrayal,
but it doesn't even matter to him because he's here to tell Rygel, hey, Scorpius is not going to honor any deal, and in fact, here is your what is it? Your morgue report. Here's your death certificate.
Yes,
this is your death certificate. Proof you expired.
You're early. Come back tomorrow, then.
I am not your reaper. Scorpius is.
You are dead, and so nobody is going to be...
Because Scorpius is going to have you executed to show the crew what he thinks of traitors.
Right. Oh, I thought that was like a death certificate which was already in place, as in they already had him on the death line.
No, that was a threat. I mean, Rygel takes it like that, haha, you're a little premature, but no, he's... Crais is trying to convey to Rygel that Scorpius is going to have him killed, followed by giving him, like, threatening his life himself, pushing his head underwater, which, again, he's aquatic... How do you drown a toad?
Very good point. Don't know how he planned that on working, but Rygel seems to be suitably intimidated and open to the suggestion that Crais offers to him, because Crais knows that his time has run out as well.
Not rising anymore.
He knows that he's like the only thing he has to look forward to is court-martial and execution. He seems to be getting a little bit more. He's losing his crazy edge, I suppose. He's
seeing where he's at. He's actually like
coming to terms with it,
reality.
I suppose is the word to use here.
And he realizes he has a lot in common with Rygel.
Why tell me?
Because ironically, we find ourselves in similar situations. No matter what I do, I have no life beyond court-martial, incarceration, execution.
So what do you want?
To survive, as you do.
And just how do we do that?
Did he actually at this point already talk about the plan?
No. We cut back to Moya, where the heroes are gathered, sort of conversing on how bizarre it is that this transport has returned. That Rygel yelled and yelled and yelled that he came in peace.
Is it a trap? It's like, we don't detect any weapons or other.
Definitely a trap, right? Yeah,
yes,
but it's a weird trap. The door opens, out floats Rygel. Our heroes all have their weapons trained on him.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And Aaron orders him off the throne sled.
Off the throne sled, Rygel, and face down on the ground.
Well, hardly.
Because then I'd miss your faces when you saw this.
Yes.
And out walks Crais.
Yep. Everybody, again, repoints their weapons.
John cackles. My boy Crais.
Oh, yes. You can see the little manic look in his eyes.
Yeah.
My boy Crais.
Clearly an awkward situation. However, I have asked Dominar Rygel the 16th for asylum, and he has accepted.
By the goddess, that's insane.
And he wants to shoot him. He really wants to shoot him.
They all do.
They all do. But it is Dargo who just walks up to him and starts beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Well, after he makes his proposal, of course.
Crais says that he has asked your Dominar for asylum and has been granted.
Right.
Wow.
That's putting a little bit too much on Rygel's shoulders, I suppose. But, I mean, at least Rygel claiming a power that he clearly does not have.
No.
But that's Rygel.
Aaron gives him a pat down. Crais says, I'm unarmed. Dargo hands his Qualter blade over to John, says, I am also unarmed, and kicks his ass.
He gets quite a little bit of satisfaction out of beating up Crais there.
Yeah, it's interesting, this relationship, because we haven't known him to have a relationship with Crais before. He demands that Crais admit what he already knew, namely that Dargo is innocent of the crime that he was imprisoned for.
Right.
His mate was killed by someone else.
But as Crais explains, that it makes no difference what he knows. You need a special tribunal to overturn a sentence like that, and what the hell makes no difference. I couldn't do anything about it.
But it hasn't really been established that Crais is so personally responsible for Dargo's imprisonment.
No, I suppose not. I mean, I guess Crais was the jailer on board Moya.
Yeah,
at least the commander of the carrier.
Of all of them, I guess Dargo is the most recent prisoner.
Yes,
right. He's the youngest.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. But yeah, a little bit of shit kicking going on. Aaron doing a bit of a smirky look going at him. So we're in the same boat now.
Yeah, I mean, she got her resolution to that relationship. Like she left him
very
in
much
the
so.
Aurora chair.
Yeah.
I mean, he even says that, like, we don't really have anything to say to each other since, you know.
So John and Aaron escort Crace to the cell block, which has been prepared by pilots, I believe. No, by Krishana. They
very good.
Prepared Deck 17 back to cell blocks, and she goes like, "Oh, with great pleasure."
Yeah.
Throw Crace in the cell, and then you can see that John is clearly not a fighter because he hands his gun over from his right hand to his left hand so he can use his right hand to push the button to close the cell door.
Oh.
And I'm just like, why would you do that? It's like,
hey, maybe it's like the American style of handling cutlery where you switch your
yes.
fork to your right hand after you've done the cutting.
It's like, no, you would hold your...
Maybe that's American gunmanship.
You would hold your gun in your right hand and then reach over and make it awkward, but like not... I guess this looks better on camera, but it's like from the viewpoint of keeping your gun pointed at someone, this is not the way you would do that normally.
See, as an experienced marksmanship trainer, in fact, like, you notice these things. It must have been so confusing for... Like, well, actually... Crichton is the only American there. He's the only one who's likely to have had any experience with firearms prior to...
But he's a science jock. He's like...
Oh, sorry. I mean Ben Browder.
Oh, right. I see what you mean.
Ben Browder is the American. The rest are Aussies. There are no guns in Australia. It was not a popular pastime as it is in the United States.
But even then, not all Americans have handled guns. It's just that they have most of the guns in the world.
There's an interesting scene where the people who confront Rigel about his treachery are not the aggressive people who would... are not the warriors.
It's Zahn and Chiana who are up on Rigel's case about that.
Interesting choice.
And Rigel is like, he pretty much says it as it is.
This Scorpius character is carrying Crace's mivongs around in his hip pocket.
So you decided to take pity on poor Captain Crace.
I don't take pity on orphans, much less that butcher.
You went there to sell us out, Rigel.
You bet your shiny blue ass I did. But I didn't, so make the most of it now.
And I was wondering why they didn't just throw Rigel in one of the cells either. I'd have just chucked him right back in, well, not in his old cell, because we know that he can get out of that one.
That's kind of it. On the one hand, what's the point? What's he going to do? On the other, maybe his whole thing is here to sabotage or whatever, but that doesn't...
Well, he's come with Crace as a peace offering, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's his way back in, I guess. So, cue a scene where they're like hauling big, weird-ass tanks around filled with the shavings and ready to be primed with the compound that's going to turn them explosive.
It's Dargo and Aaron carrying the heavy shit. Dargo asks, like, did Zan, are we supposed to inject them into all the containers or just the first row? Aaron says Zan didn't say. Well,
she was vague to the point of me assuming that she has no idea either. Which seems like typical Zahn. He's like, just like be a little bit evasive about stuff that she's not confident about.
Aaron once again takes the time.
Dargo, there won't be much time later.
I know.
And Dargo does as well. Like, they take a moment, and I don't know, the ease with which they did this seemed like sort of a trench conversation, like a foxhole conversation.
Again, it's like two warriors who are having a quiet moment before they go over the top of the trenches in World War I.
Yeah, like and this understanding. Okay, we have all this stuff to do. We can take 2 minutes for this. It won't be more than 2 minutes, and that'll be like the end of our lives is approaching. We should have this conversation where I mean, it resolves quite beautifully with Dargo saying,
"I thought I would live much longer.
I never thought I'd live this long."
And actually what I noticed is that everybody is very fatalistic and resigned to everything, which, oddly enough, to my experience, doesn't really match up with the pacing of the episode. It's like the episode itself is paced in a regular tempo sort of thing, whereas all the content in that pacing is very slow and contemplative.
I think that's a really, really good observation because they're resigned to... Dargo and John are resigned to their deaths very, very early on.
Yes.
And they're preparing for it, even though the plan changes a few times in the meantime before actually settling on the final suicide mission and the various twists and turns. So, but like... the prospect of their death remains constant throughout. I mean, you could have also split this out as a two-parter, and then the first episode would have been all about the betrayal and figuring that out, and then landing on the suicide plan. And then the second part would have been about resolving all the emotional arcs in preparation for the suicide plan.
It's the end of season episode, so they're already ending on a cliffhanger, as you'd expect. I mean, I assume that they were already given the green light for a second season at this point.
No.
Oh.
They had no idea if they were coming back. Like, they knew that the ratings were good on the Sci-Fi Channel. It was better than most. But the green light had not been given at the time they filmed the final episode.
Wow.
So yeah, they were kind of prepared for
I guess
going
maybe,
out with
I guess
a bang.
maybe that like echoed a little bit in the actors' sentiments.
Yeah,
that they
right?
didn't know if they were coming back for any of this.
Wow. Yeah, what must that have felt like?
So, Scorpius is talking to the new lieutenant, who is like praising him for his good work and that his star might be on the rise.
Yeah.
If he performs properly.
The lieutenant asks to speak freely.
Of course, Lieutenant. If you weren't free to, I would not have you here.
Very interesting, different approach to command than Crace ever had.
And he asks, if you suspected Crace's betrayal, why did you let them go?
Yeah, and I don't remember what Scorpius' reply to that was.
You know, it's kind of weird because his reply is,
We all have windows of usefulness. If we don't take advantage of them, our careers may fade.
Right.
For instance, he says, leaning in and just licking the lieutenant's eyeball just about. Like, no, he holds his shoulder and he comes in really close and he eye-frells him.
For example, my instincts tell me that your career may well be on the rise.
Your tight little star seems to be rising.
Implying that Crace's obviously was not.
But it doesn't really answer the question.
Scorpius being Scorpius and scheming his way through life, I guess. I mean, as a half-breed in Sebastian society, he probably didn't have much of a choice other than to be a conniving little bastard. And we see another...
Speaking of conniving little bastard.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, we see another gorgeous shot of the command carrier. And I noticed that a lot in this episode. They really went overboard on the CGI. There's lots of beautiful shots of the command carrier and of Moya, all still cast in the blue asteroid field light.
Okay, so about half of those are reused shots that they just tinted blue.
Yeah.
I recognize those because I'm a huge, big old nerd and I pay attention to that. Like,
but still.
Definitely. I mean, it's all gorgeous. It all holds up incredibly well. To the point where later on, like, there's a shot of some prowlers flying around the asteroid field. Those were the prowlers from the pilot episode.
Yes.
That was Talvo Crace's prowler just before it knocked into the Farscape one. But, you know, a nice bit of symmetry.
Yes.
Speaking of symmetry, we have finally like a really intense conversation between Crichton and Crace.
Yes. Talking to each other through the bars of the cell.
I look at you and I get homesick. I'm desperate for human male-to-male conversation.
And Crace is the closest he can get.
And he comments that, like, yeah, well, I mean, humans seem to be close enough to Sebastians, so...
He asks whether Crace knows why. Crace says no, one of the many mysteries that I regret I won't have the opportunity to solve. And that's when Crichton turns on him. And, like, we weren't out here solving these mysteries.
Do you have any idea what you put me through? All of us through?
You personally did all this to us. You made us live under constant fear. And that what you're feeling right now is what we felt every minute since you decided that we were your quarry.
Right, but Crace actually seems to be contrite.
Yeah.
He is, and this is actually where he admits to John that he is that he was wrong about being such a mad military commander and pursue him for the death of his brother, and that it was an accident.
I understand you didn't mean to kill my brother.
Admitting to the fact that he's been on a insane crusade and hunting them. And actually, I'd say he's apologetic about it even.
I thought it was about my brother. It should have been about my brother. Somewhere along the way, my priorities decayed. I realized I'd become more concerned with my own image and career.
Yeah, which
contrite
breaks Crichton. Crichton's also in tears here because he's known all along, like, this is totally pointless. But now he can't even hate Crace for it anymore. Like, he can't even punish him for it because he's admitted to it. Like, okay, so everything just sucks. Is that how it is? Everything just sucks?
So yeah, that was a very powerful scene.
He manages to get it together and he tells Crace, like, if you really do want to help,
now's the time.
Yes.
And Crace comes up to command, listens to their plan, advises them, tells them that, you know, this is not going to work. They're going to detect.
Yeah.
Like, the chances of success are so slim. But there's another opportunity.
Yes.
Because they're also not far from the
Gamak base.
on an oil-covered moon.
Yes, I was wondering about that, but whatever.
Well, where does oil come from?
Dinosaurs. We have seen big space dinosaur bones in the past.
Yes, we have. So also in other asteroids.
Maybe that was where the space oil comes from on this moon. But, I mean, it must be a pain. You can't even go outside for a smoke, flick your butt off the edge of the cliff, and that would be a bit of a problem.
Well, it is a secret underground base, so they weren't going to do that anyway.
Fair enough. So I thought this was a cute scene where you see Chiana standing among the other crews, and it looks like she is walked right out of that Aha video. She looks almost fake and drawn in the scene. I don't know if it's the lighting, but her in her black and white makeup, she just looks like she is just jumped off the pages of someone's sketches, and she looks like a
Take on me.
Yeah. I wonder if they just forgot makeup and they go we'll just fix it in post, and it's just turn down the saturation on it.
Come on. It's so interesting, the framing in this shot, though. You have a lot of people here. You have, let me see, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. You have
everybody.
Aaron and Chiana. You have Dargo, Zan, Crace, Crichton. I think even Rigel shows up.
Yeah, they haven't taken away his comm badge, which I thought was a bit peculiar, but,
Well, in case they need to yell at him. But this was the 4:3 full screen, the pre-widescreen era.
Yeah.
And so framing these shots is kind of difficult when you have so many people and you don't have a widescreen lens to place them in.
No. I mean, there's lots of cuts back and forth between two people in the shot at each time, but yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Especially when we're having conversations again.
Yeah.
Another plan forms, although we're not quite let in on it what it is yet, though the implications are that it's not going to be as lethal as the first one was.
Yes, but it does have to involve a Crichton, because a Crace is certain, there is one thing that Scorpius wants much more than the safety of his base, than the whatever. Even if they threaten his base, he might still not turn away and try and protect it.
Right.
But if Crichton's on board,
yeah, well, and also the thing is
inference.
they'll keep they'll keep him from shooting the shuttle. If Crichton's on there, then the Scorpius is never going to order an attack against that ship, even if it's laden with explosives.
Oh, that's a good sort of endgame move from checkers. What's it called? It's like a discovered check.
I'm not very good at checkers.
Sorry, I meant chess, which you are very good at and consistently beat me at.
No.
Until I looked up stuff and discovered, practiced the discovered
check. So I was
check.
better at chess until you started learning about chess. Now, there's no real big surprise there.
Well, okay, thank you. Thank you is the sentiment that Chiana wants to express to John, and
yes, taking her on board the crew, I suppose, and being kind. And this is like a horny teenage moment that they're having.
It's weird.
It is a bit.
She takes his hands and put them on her hips.
Yeah,
leans in for a kiss, flicks out the tongue.
Right.
Straight
yes,
away.
but no. But yes, but no. It is two horny teenagers saying goodbye to each other at the beginning of summer vacation or something like that. That's what it's.
John is not into it though. He's accepting and he's considerate, but he's the one who breaks the kiss. He's the one who sets the boundaries. Sort of I'd call it an older brother, but he's sort of like a Skywalker older brother. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well. I mean,
with a little bit of kissing.
I was going to say, we had a little bit of hillbilly connection there, but it's a nice moment. Chiana doesn't want to see him go. She's clearly quite fond of him.
But that's how it is. Scorpius is informed by, hey, we don't even need the Treaty of Mintaka 3. We are on the ball here.
We are doing pretty well. I mean, we jumped a little bit ahead at the beginning of the episode.
Don't tell the audience that.
I'm sorry. Don't listen to me. No, wait, do listen to me, but just not right now.
That's the whole point of the podcast. Okay, and then something happens that I didn't quite understand.
Uh-huh.
Crace gets a tour of Boya.
Same here. I did not get that. I mean, Erin is holding her big gun, not exactly pointed at him, because she allows him to walk right up behind her, and knowing what we know about him being able to do to his commanding officers.
Oh, yeah.
Just twist their neck and snap them around. It seems like an unwise decision. But yes, he is marveling at Boya, especially how he has voice commands that, though he could interface with the pilot, but they thought that was much better to have direct control and command over them rather than having someone else interpret your orders.
Crace reveals that he was involved in this hybrid project that many attempts have been made, always resulting in the deaths of both mother and
child. Yes,
until the crucial difference, those were all enslaved, collared Leviathans.
And that's something that Erin comments upon.
Yeah,
and
Boya was born in freedom.
Crace almost seems a little bit surprised or taken back by that reveal,
but delighted as well. He is. We haven't seen him this like enthused and in command and authoritative.
It's a bit of a change back to his old self. I mean, he is back to being shaven again. So in the previous few scenes when he was in the cell, he had a very scraggly, unshaven look. But for this scene, although his hair is still a little bit unfringed, he's gone back to having shaven again. So he's slowly regaining his composure, as you can tell here.
Very
he's
good.
been through a deep valley, but now he is picking himself back together again, I'd say.
I mean, he's speaking to Aaron with great confidence. He's speaking in general with great confidence. He expresses his astonishment with Kal Tenaga Chivoko.
Right, there you go. That's another one of those scenes where we hear someone speaking and the translator microbes don't let us in on the secret.
Yeah. Aaron does respond to it as if she understands it, saying that this is not your crowning glory. If this is a Sebastian language that he's speaking, his language sounds nothing like the language that we've heard Aaron speak.
No, true.
What's your one?
Kal Tenaga Chivoko.
Not that it's weird for there to be multiple languages for a species, but
no.
They seem completely unrelated just by the sound of them.
That's very interesting because in the episode which was all in the alien mind game thing, we heard her
episode 16.
Yeah, we heard her speaking. It was a very
like she modeled it after her own speech, English speech reversed, but she generated that on the spot. So curious. I mean, maybe he begged. Maybe he really asked to see this marvelous creature.
But why would she agree? Why would she acquiesce to a request like that?
It may be. Oh, do you remember in PK Tech Girl when they discovered Jelena, and Jelena said to on the Zelbinian, and Jelena said to Aaron, as a peacekeeper,
I consider you a traitor, but as a Sebastian, I believe you are deserving as I to know the truth about a cultural treasure.
Fair point.
And then maybe she's relating to him yes, as soldiers we're on opposite sides, but as a fellow peacekeeper, you deserve to marvel at this treasure.
Magnificent.
On Moya, we have another scene with two people saying goodbye to each other, I suppose. Well, it's more Crichton disappointing Rigel, I would say, by giving him all his stuff if he dies.
Yeah, because he's a material girl.
Yeah, and Rigel is like, I mean, I get this vibe of Rigel here. It's it's no fun if I can't steal it. It's like, what are you doing giving this to me? This is inappropriate funeral rites. You're supposed to go out there and take them, not have them given to you beforehand. That's not the right way to do it.
And it's also, now that he's being given all this stuff, he realizes that's not what he wants. He actually wants, respect, appreciation.
I know I can be selfish, but given a chance, I can usually...
Do what? Do the right thing?
Yes.
He tries to, the thing that he wants from Crichton more than anything is forgiveness or respect.
I suppose. I mean, I don't know what Rigel wants at this point.
He's telling him that, I didn't sell you out. I went out there to sell you out, but
this is where we get the comment for because they weren't buying what you were selling. That's where Crichton is the one who says that, not Chiana.
But Crichton is not quite forgiving, but he's, I don't know, he's making space in his heart for Rigel, telling him being a good person that doesn't start when you get caught. That starts when you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
And Rigel lowers his head in shame, and Crichton kisses him.
Yes. It's just he gets a little kiss between the eyebrows.
Just be better, pass it on. Actually, that's something that he said to Chiana.
Yes.
Chiana tells him, you saved my life. And then Crichton tells her, pass it on.
Yes.
When someone else needs it, return the favor. You pass it on.
Chiana, who actually turns out to be quite the cook. She's gone to town on the ship's supplies and she has cooked everybody's favourite food.
Yeah.
Which looks a bit like one of Heston's feasts with all the towers of all... Make it into a tower.
It's glorious. Oh, I just noticed that John's Ayasa water bottle is there as well.
Oh, yes, so it is, yes.
You've got a fantastic spread. I remembered some of the dishes that she talked about. Smoked pronga sinew, one of Aaron's favourites that everybody really loved. I kind of like that Chiana, who said that she only knew this one way to express her thanks, actually found another one, and she just cooked a delicious feast for everyone.
Yes.
And we see them eating it together while we get a voiceover from John.
Even including Grace and Rigel. I mean, Rigel, fair enough, but yeah, even Grace is allowed to sit in on the final meal.
Yeah.
John is having a little play with one of the DRDs. I'm not quite sure what he was doing with, like, making the wiggly fingers at the eyes of the DRD.
Yeah, he was doing sort of the Crocodile Dundee dog pacifier gesture at One Eye. Hey, that's the little...
Is one whose eye stalk he fixed?
Yeah, it's got the little blue tape around it.
Oh, yes. I didn't notice that.
While he talks about how much he's learned out here in the universe, he's surrounded by people who teach me patience, and you get a close-up of Chiana, and then a close-up of Crace, and then people who teach me other things. And this is John Crichton.
Somewhere in the universe.
Yeah, he didn't say any signing off, which I almost expected him to do. But
yeah. That was a line from the script for the pilot, which was never used, which Ben Browder reinserted here.
Nice.
Somewhere in the universe.
Yeah, and the last thing we see him do is take his father's lucky ring, the one he got given by Yuri Gagarin, I believe.
Yuri Gagarin's cock ring or geese or whatever we said is Prince Albert. Yes, you've remarked on that before.
Zaan gives her blessing, again, which we hear in Delvian and not translated by the translator microbes.
Cadare I sincono, apudax ahilio, frota il pluro sincono.
Dargo is grumpy about it.
I hate this stuff.
And John says...
Chicks love it.
That was originally Anthony Simcoe who came up with that. Apparently, like at lunch, David Kemper, the writer, was telling John about this scene and that we're going to be given this benediction. And John's like, "Oh, that's crazy! I don't want to do that." And Anthony Simcoe is just walking past the buffet. Yeah, but chicks love it.
John, who's changed into a spacesuit, one of the, I think it might be Aaron's flight suit or something like that.
Yeah. Sorry. Discontinuity alert. This was one of the items that he bequeathed to Rigel. I noticed it.
Yes,
he was giving Rigel all of this stuff. The helmet and the spacesuit. Like,
No, you are absolutely right, yes.
Some last advice from Crace, who gives some advice that, hey, I later profited from. Peacekeeper pilots are trained to anticipate evasive maneuvers, so fly in a direct path.
If you want them to not hit you, don't make evasive maneuvers. Wait, what? That's not how it works.
Well, I tell you what, this was 2000 that this came out, and this was around the time where our friends were getting into Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
One of our friends was really into it, and we did a little LAN party, and several rounds in a row, I kicked his ass, and he was a skilled player. I am not skilled at all, by just running straight at him, firing, and he would like anticipate jumps and firing all around me. I would just barrel down and kill him, running straight at him. And every time he thought, he's not going to do that again. There's no way that he's going to do it again.
And it kept working. Well,
it kept working.
Fair enough.
I respect that.
I mean, I'd like to think that Peacekeeper pilots are a little bit better than that, but, who knows?
I mean, the Peacekeeper pilot says goodbye to John. Well, he says, I wasn't going to say goodbye. And she says, I wasn't either.
And then they don't. And he just walks off.
Yeah.
Along with Dargo to the shuttle, door closes, and we are on
approach to the Gamak base, where John asks Dargo, hey, why am I not freaking out? And Dargo has another pearl of wisdom.
Fear accompanies the possibility of death. Calm shepherds its certainty.
So, if you're calm, then you're certain that you're going to be dead? Or
if you're worried that you're going to die, you're going to be then that's when you're afraid. But if you know you're going to die, you can be calm.
Scorpius is informed that the ship is moving towards the base, but he tells the command cruiser not to pursue, but to hold off and stay here with the asteroid field.
Until later on, he is informed that there is a human aboard.
Yes, a human and a Luxon have been detected by scanners.
And he gets angry.
Oh, yes.
He realizes the strategy.
He figures it out right there.
He does not like his pressure points being used.
No, he loves using them on other people, but he cannot take it as good as he gives it.
Because he realizes that if this craft attacks that oil-covered moon, they'll have to abandon their research here. But he can't risk losing the wormhole knowledge in John's mind.
So he tells the command carrier to pursue the ship.
Erin is in her prowler, meanwhile, because their backup plan is for John and Dargo to ditch before crashing, because everybody's going to be focused on the explosion. Nobody's going to be watching for two life signs ejecting, and then she can swoop in with her prowler and save them.
Pick them up. Yes,
they've got Scorpius on the end of a string. They're making the end run there, having a last little chat between John and Dargo.
Kirk and Spock. Abbott and Costello. First base.
Punch the control, door pops open, and they're sucked out. Oh, fantastic wire work.
John is wearing his helmet, and Dargo is, as we know, is space-worthy. Took me a second to remember that. But yes.
He can survive up to a quarter arm.
Yes, out in space, just floating about, and actually being quite pleasant about it. He's still blinking, he's like giving the thumbs up.
Yep.
And we see a magnificent explosion.
Wow.
With the oil-covered planet being set on fire by the big bada boom.
Oh, it's fantastic. This image is apparently one that David Kemper had in mind since very early on. That's what he wanted to end on. No idea how it was going to be resolved.
But he wants that in. And yeah, the planet turns into like a bright burning moon.
So when the production team were designing episode 19, Nerve with the Gamak base, David Kemper kept saying, "Oh, making an oil-covered moon. What? Why? No, it'll be fine. Just
we'll find a use for it. Just make sure that it's oil-covered."
Ignition! Look at that mother burn! Woo!
And we go to commercial, and okay, this is where you're probably feeling like a little bit of uncertainty because there's there's another 6 or 7 minutes to go. That's not enough time to resolve everything, or...
Well, there's a little bit of like...
that kind of tension, right?
Aaron going like, I can't pick them up because there's like other prowlers flying about, which is the shot that's being reused. And
from the premiere episode.
Yep, where they're just flying about and she can't like swoop in and just pick them up because that would be suspicious, so she just has to move around. And... Crace has somehow, mysteriously, managed to find his way onto Boya. It's like, how? Did he take a shuttle? Did he...
While everyone was distracted, apparently like he hasn't been put back in his cell, and he has seized control of Moya's offspring.
Yeah, and is apparently quite capable of commanding it.
Ship, depot into the asteroid field where the debris is densest.
Crace, what the yucks are you doing?
Saving myself, Your Eminence. I'm sure to your envy.
Everyone is outraged. Pilot, Chiana, Zan, but none more so than Erin, who, I mean, she's powerless here where she's out here. She knows that John and Dargo are relying on her to save them, but she's just furiously, emotionally yelling,
You listen to me now. You stop what you're doing and you leave the ship now.
Yeah, she is like terrified by the thought of him kidnapping the little Leviathan.
And Crace is unmoved. He's quite cool. He says that I hope that if we meet again, that our relationship will be quite different.
Right. He's like very almost dismissive of her concerns or her anger. And it's like, oh, well, I'm just doing what I need to do, and
we'll be fine.
Well, he doesn't know her very well if she thinks that. But also, she still has to name the child.
Yes. Moya does not want her child to be named by peacekeepers.
No.
And she calls him the name of her father.
Talon, I believe?
Talon.
Which, as far as I know, is a city in Estonia, but...
It's a lovely city in Estonia.
It is.
A really cool action sequence in Christopher Nolan's film Tenet is set there. Do we know anything else with Talon? I mean, Talon's obviously it sounds like a claw. It's a really cool name for
It is. It's a lovely city too. But yes, Crace starts to fly off with Moya's offspring, Talon now.
Finally, we're rid of Boya.
Oh, no, I think I'll keep Boya sticking around as a little pet name for him.
They don't want to leave without first saving John and Dargo, even though the plan has fallen apart. John asks Pilot to patch him through to Moya so he can tell her directly, like, we know you're afraid for your kid.
It seems like it's a thing that Aaron would be doing, not John, but yeah, John takes care of that.
He has spoken to Moya before.
True.
When he first discovered Moya's pregnancy.
Yes.
And encourages Moya, because Aaron has bonded with Pilot. I think John has bonded more with Moya.
Oh, yes, you have a very good point there, yeah.
And tells her that we've done all this so that you could be safe, so go, be safe.
Actually convinces her to starburst away and not follow... the only way they can save him and Dargo and Aaron is by leaving, because the command carrier is now moving full steam ahead towards Moya.
Yeah.
While Crace is going back into the asteroid field to hide with Boya, back into the safety of the asteroid field to
with the
ride
Estonian
it out.
capital, that's right. With the distraction in place, Moya is actually able to leave. Pilot says once again,
Prepare for starburst, people.
And for once, Rigel doesn't complain about it.
Good point.
And we are left at the end of the episode with Dargo passing out.
Yep.
Erin in her prowler flying about other prowlers trying to pick up John and Dargo.
John watching Moya starburst to safety and the moon burning behind them.
Yeah, and Yuri Gagarin's cockring flying off into space as Dargo passes out and lets go of it.
Whoa.
The good luck talisman, which he actually questioned whether or not it worked or not. It's like,
oh, yes. And then John said...
I'm still alive.
And Dargo kissed it.
He did, yes.
Kind of intimate.
It is.
Somewhere Yuri Gagarin smiling a crooked smile.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, right.
What a f***ing episode and what a f***ing cliffhanger. Frelling, I should say, but yeah.
That was very much my experience when I watched it the first time as well. Do we have any notes that we still need to?
Ooh.
Oh, I have one.
Yes.
And that was early on when John and Dargo when John was talking about I'm not going to be taken alive, and Dargo was we have no concept of we don't have that word in our language. There came a point where Aaron said, "Oh, to bask in the warm glow of all this testosterone."
Yes.
Which Claudia Black hated that line, and with good reason. It's such a 90s line. Also, they're Sebaceans, and do you have testosterone?
I mean,
do you have hormones?
Again, the translator microbes are translating whatever it is she's
fair.
using.
Besides, she's probably got like tougher mivonks than the both of them put together.
Yes. I had one earlier when I was chiding Zahn about not having her chemistry in a fume hood. John makes his comment about relying on the chief anarchist's power, and you saw that was a remark that actually cut Zahn a little bit. It was like she got this expression that like she did not like that remark stung
a little bit. Yeah. God, the tools of the chief anarchist. Oh, the chief anarchist cookbook.
Yeah. Oh, so yes, that was. Oh man, what an episode!
I mean, I feel like we've missed so much. I know that there was a conversation between Aaron and Zahn, where where Aaron sort of was frustrated that everyone was so cool about sacrificing their lives, and like, Zahn, how do you do it as a priest? And Zahn says,
"The instant I committed murder, I sacrificed my right to exist. Since then, I view every microt as a generous yet undeserved gift from the goddess."
Ooh, that's a bit harsh.
Well, maybe they have strict tenets about that sort of thing.
Oh, there was a moment when Aaron and Pilot are having their conversation together, where Pilot calls her Officer Sun and then takes a breath.
Aaron.
Yes.
He's never called her by her first name before.
Oh.
Any of them.
No, I guess he's very formal usually, and that's why he calls Domina Rigel and...
Yeah, Your Eminence and Crichton. Like, he doesn't say those mockingly.
No.
Oh, and never before the big game when Crichton turns down Chiana.
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you the Willies.
Willie and Woody.
Oh, wow. There is a lot to choose from. I don't want to give my Woody to the CGI shot of the moon, as cool as that was. Like, that's totally epic. That just misses out on so much. Because this is, as you mentioned, like, it's an emotional episode. It's really intense on the personal relationships. Actually, controversial choice. My Woody's going to go to Crace.
No?
Yeah, I know that he's not a hero in any way, but I did get a thrill from his reclamation of his confidence and his pride.
Right, his fall and not redemption, but his rise, I suppose we should call it.
Yeah.
He was pulling it back together, and right at the end, he was like not... Yeah, he figured out he wanted to survive. He wanted to do his best. He saw the awesomeness that is Boya, and he just thought that I'm going to make off with it. Well, I'm not sure what his plan was for like waiting for it to grow until he can starburst on his own, and then...
Hopefully in season 2 we'll find out more about that.
Yes.
How about you? You got your Woody ready, or you want to go for you?
My Willy, maybe might be the plot hole that like the fact that they actually address it later on in the episode. We're just going to have little boy starburst along with us, and if they'd done that right at the beginning of the episode, the entire problem would have been averted.
Okay, yeah, there are some. I wouldn't necessarily call them plot holes. My Willy would probably go to the really bad decisions of not putting Crace and Rigel in a cell, not putting them back in the cell all the time. You have these cells. Like, why do you let them walk around? What possible benefit could you get from it?
Yes, there's nothing. We have no reason to trust them. We have nothing benefits from having them around, and they are only a threat.
Right.
They've both proven that they're not to be trusted.
Oh wait, I think my Willy will actually go to Crace's terrible sense of interior decorating. Now that he doesn't have severed Hynerian heads. And a bath, I wonder what he's going to do with Boya's wonderful interior.
Let's not dwell on that too long.
Needs more heads.
Yes, should have brought the Hynerian. That would have made a good start.
Oh, no.
For my Woody, I don't think it'll go to any specific event. But more towards the entire
choice.
Yes, more towards the way that everybody interacts with each other. Everybody reacts. It's very much clear that everything has become a family, and it's called Family Ties. And we didn't even see Michael J. Fox in it.
How does the theme tune go?
Oh, I can't remember. Let's not try singing that again.
Okay, no. Okay, so the one that I thought of was...
Yes, go on.
Which is Doogie Howser MD, and that's not Family Ties at all. So what's your guess going to be? And then I'll see what sitcom it actually is.
Oh, Family Ties. Is this the place?
Fun little quiz.
No, that's Cheers. No, never mind. Okay, we both suck at it. But yeah, so my Woody goes towards the interaction between the crew, how everybody has become a caring family, how everybody loves each other at this point.
I hate you!
Well, maybe not Rigel, but,
Even that, like they find areas where they really connect and depend on each other. Dargo and Aaron says to him, "You've become someone on whom I depend."
Yeah.
Not whom I can depend, but whom she does depend. And he feels the same way about her. Like,
Dargo and John have really driven home the fact that they're probably more than allies. They swore to be allies, and that's what started warming Dargo up to John.
Yeah,
and I think they've grown beyond that point.
Yeah, when Dargo gives him that philosophical advice that calm shepherds the certainty of death, Crichton responds,
I love hanging with you, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. This episode was fantastic. But we're going to have to take a little breath here. Next time, we're not going to launch straight into season 2. We're going to take another greatest hiatus, but this time instead of
covering something else,
let's take a look back at what we've seen. Let's take a little bit of reflection
on
season 1.
What happened in season 1 and how have we developed it?
We can just take our time and just really reflect on what we felt about it. And then I will also pursue you relentlessly with a trivia quiz, which you will be judged on very harshly.
Oh, God. Maybe I have to quickly binge everything again just so that I'm caught up again on everything.
You better hurry because I'm coming after you.
Damn. All right.
And that's the story so Farscape.
We'll see you next week with a season finale. Well, no, not season finale episode. We'll see you next week with an episode in which we reflect back on the previous season.
Season 1 recap.
Season 1, that's a good one. Season 1 recap.
You can find us at SoFarscape on Twitter and Farsbook and on SoFarscape.com.
I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good. Signing off somewhere in the universe.
Yes.
Hey, you bastards. John Crichton was here.